So good morning, everybody. Welcome to another week of Family Success Strategies for COVID-19. Each week, the Family Success Center is bringing you a series of conversations to help you make it through this time of social distancing. The Family Success Center has been operating over in East Gadsden since 2001, and our goal is to see every family in Etowah County be safe, stable, and strong. So this is toward that end. Just a little bit of Zoom etiquette before we get started. First of all, if you would mute your microphones, then we won't hear your background noise, your beautiful children, your precious dogs, your traffic, or whatever else is going on. We love to see faces, so glad to see so many cameras on this morning. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you're always welcome to turn it off. And if anything begins to happen in your environment that you need to turn it off, you can do that. We are recording. You may have heard the announcement when that started. And we will be posting this video on our YouTube channel and linking it to our Facebook page so that those who aren't able to make it at this time can join us. I tell you that because if there's any questions or comments you have that you wouldn't want recorded and others to hear later, then you can choose to do that privately. On the menu, which appears either at the bottom or the top of your screen, there is a chat box. If you click that, you can see the chat come up on the side, or if you're on a small device, you may have to click a drop-down menu for that. But you can make a comment to the whole group. You can send a question to someone individually. We ask you not to chat at people you don't know, but I'll also be putting some things in that chat box in hopes of capturing it for you so you don't have to remember telephone numbers or websites or those kinds of things. So it's good to be with y'all this morning. We have with us Emma Hazelwood, who is our certified family life educator, works our healthy relationships program, works our financial stability program, and we have Misty Sosby Ledbetter with us, who is an attorney and works our supervised visitation program. So today we want to offer you suggestions and activities for visiting with people who are not in your location. How can you do that, and how can you do that safely? So Misty, give us some tips for doing that.
There's lots of things that can be done virtually to visit with your children, whether it's your grandchildren, it's your child. We're going through some unprecedented times that people aren't really sure what to do in the situation. We've got parents who are healthcare workers, and you don't want to expose your child to what they may have been exposed to. There's parents who live across states that there may be some travel restrictions. And then we just have parents or grandparents that can't see the children unless it's supervised. And now we have some issues with having supervised visitations. So there's still ways that you can visit with children. Of course, depending on their age, it's going to depend on how long you would want to do those visits. First of all, you can always text and do phone calls. But the best thing to be able to see the kids and interact more with them, you can use FaceTime, Skype, you can use Zoom like we're using today. There's GoToMeetings, and there's a few other programs that you can go in and do video chats with the kids. Depending on the children's age would depend on what kind of activities you might want to do with them. For older kids, they're used to video chatting with their friends, so they'll be glad to sit down and maybe talk. You can talk about their day, talk about things they're doing with school online, maybe help them with some classwork. For the younger kids, if they're elementary age, there's lots of activities online that you can do with them. There's programs like abcmouse.com, PBS Kids, Nick Jr., Disney Jr. They all have online activities, and you can share screens and play games together. You can do board games virtually where one person has the board game set up and the other person, tells what to do and moves the pieces and plays the games together. You can play card games, and if both the parent and child have the same games in their homes, they can both do it, so that way they're both interacting with the pieces and the games themselves, but they're just not in the same room. For younger children, toddlers, babies, you can read books to them, you can sing songs, play music, You can do nursery rhyme videos and things online with them. For elementary age kids, you might want to get them to actually read the books back to you to help with their reading, and help with things that they're learning in school. You might make flashcards to work on spelling, and just words that they need to be learning. You can do all kinds of virtual visits to museums, and the Birmingham Zoo, Atlanta Zoo, the aquariums are all offering webcams and online tours of their museums and amusement parks and zoos. And so you can go on those and actually tour the museum or the zoo together. Talk about what you're seeing, talk about what they like, talk about what they enjoy. Maybe plan a trip for once this quarantine's over of things you'd like to do together. Of course, for supervised visitations, it's going to be a little different because they may not can actually plan a trip for later. But for those parents and grandparents who will see the kids again, this is a good time to work on things that they might like to do. You can have a virtual party and sit and make decorations and just interact and play together. For those parents that need to be supervised and the custodial parents concerned about what to do, there are accounts that you can set up through Our Family Wizard, talkingparents.com, Zoom, where you can actually record the videos of the visits. You can monitor and listen in and make sure what's going on. If you're concerned about a parent where there's been some type of abuse or control in the past, trying to manipulate or cause issues with the child, you can make sure that you set the child up in one location for a visit and that they stay in that one area so they're not showing the house or parts that may be giving out information that you might not want that other parent to know. They may not know where you live, or they may not know where that child goes to school. That may be part of a court order. And speaking about court orders, if you're in a situation that you actually have an order that orders your visitation, either through a parenting plan or custody agreement, a divorce agreement, those orders are still active and in place. Most of the judges and courts are going to be lenient somewhat with those through this pandemic. However, you do have to show reason that you have not allowed any visitation if you've stopped it. I recommend that everybody tries to continue visitation as much as possible. Of course, we know there's going to be some situations where you can't physically send the child. So therefore, try to do these virtual visitations and other ways that this child can maintain contact with the other parent. We know that studies have shown that a child is going to be healthier and more stable if they have a relationship with both parents as they grow up. So we just want to do anything that we can to keep them actively engaged with those parents and grandparents in their lives during this time that they may not can actually spend time with them. Right now, there's a lot of online things that have started up, like the bear hunts that you can go around town and look for bears in people's windows. There was one for Easter with Easter eggs, and I'm sure we're going to see lots of other things like that. It's safe to get out in your car and drive around. You don't have to stay necessarily in your house this entire time. The kids need to be active, get outside and play, get in your car and ride around and look for things like that. I've seen a lot of families have tried to make special days for children who have birthdays during this time, and they're doing parades by houses. It might be that if parents get along, and this is not a situation where it's supervised, maybe they can do, parents and grandparents do a drive by the house, and you can stop outside at the driveway and wave and talk, or people can sit out in camp chairs 10, 20 feet apart and you know, just have some conversations. Whatever we can do to try to keep these healthy relationships and visitation going between the parents and grandparents.
Okay, thank you, Misty. I'm going to put into the chat box some of the different places. There was a really good webinar conducted by the Gaston Etowah County Chamber a few days ago called Activities to Lift the Spirit. And they gave Jillian and Rebecca Reeves did a really good job of presenting that. And I'm going to share some of those resources in the chat box about some of the different places that are having virtual tours and live webcams at zoos and things. You could come into a meeting like Zoom, and the basic Zoom package is free to use. It limits your time to 40 minutes, but at the end of 40 minutes, when it kicks you out, you could come right back if you wanted to. But one person could go to one of those websites on the computer and they could share the screen. If you look in the menu that you have, my button is green and has an arrow in it and it says share screen. And if I click that, it will let me share to everybody in this room what's on that screen on my computer. So a parent and a child, or two families, or kids hanging out together could share a screen and go to those different places. So I'm going to put some of those in there. Emma, give us some healthy relationship tips and for visiting with people that we can't be with.
Okay, well, I actually opted to figure out how to do things as a family this time, and what we can do as a family to make things a little bit easier, because this is one of the most frustrating times of being stuck at home. And sometimes the best way is to figure out ways to help other people. So I know that me and my family have been doing things that sort of maintain activity, but also bring some humanity back into these really stressful situations. And it gives us some things to do at this time. So I thought I would give y'all some tips about what you can do as a family to actually help other people. Sometimes helping other people is the best way to feel good about situations. So I think the first one that I think is important is if you have a skill that maybe other people don't have, then you should record it and post it. If you have a great cooking recipe that's great for you and your kids to do together, then record it and share it with somebody else. Always use internet safety, of course, but if you know how to play the guitar, or if your kid knows how to play the guitar, or consider giving a free lesson to somebody else because they can potentially use that. Or if you paint, you can do like a paint along with me with the entire family and record it and put it out there for your friends and family to see, because chances are they're sitting at home looking for things to do, and this gives them a chance to find something to do. Always take time to check in on your family and friends. I see some faces here that I haven't seen in a while, and that's nice. Sometimes having just a friendly face can be extremely helpful during this time. We as people are going to feel very overwhelmed, especially in our relationships. We're going to feel very overwhelmed. And with this uncertainty of what's going to happen when the state opens back up, there's going to be a lot of anxiety. And sometimes you need someone to talk to. So if you're in a good headspace, then just make sure that you call and you check on your family and friends and just say, hey, how's it going? Make sure that they know that you are a safe place if they ever want to talk about anything, and that you are willing to listen. Now that goes with your own children and the people in your home, but also people outside as well. And make sure that your friends know, that your kids know that they can be a safe place for their friends. If you have younger children, or if you know people who have younger children, FaceTiming, recording a video of you reading a book can be a really great thing to do, especially if you have an older kid who wants to read a book to a younger kid, and having them get animated and do all the voices and having fun. This can be a nice treat for those littles that you have in your life that you don't actually get to see on a regular basis. And it could be a way to get your kids involved. I think another great thing that y'all can do as a family is declutter. Yay, nobody likes to clean. But you know that y'all have a bunch of books sitting around that you don't read anymore, that you don't use anymore, that maybe your kids used, or it could be an old mystery novel. Take some time as a family and decide, am I ever going to read this again? Would somebody else enjoy this? And consider donating it to somebody else. You can take those books to the library. You can take them to the Love Center. Down at the bottom of Save-A-Lot, at the base of the mountain, they have like a huge outdoor library where you can just drop books off. or you can bring it over to us at the center, because outside we have this little greenhouse on a post that you can put free books in. And not only are you giving back to the community by giving somebody a chance to pick up a book who may not be able to do so otherwise, it gives you a chance to declutter your house. Always consider donating as a family, going through and finding things like food or clothes and taking them to places like Etowah Baptist Mission Center, Catholic Center of Concern. They can always use non-perishable food items, and giving back to the community will help you teach your kids these life lessons about helping other people in need. I don't want to step on my own toes because I'm good with money. That's what I do. But if you are good with money, you can also consider giving lessons to other people. Last night, I gave lessons to 7-year-olds on a Google Hangout Meet about money. We used games and learned about how to save money. And if you're good at that, offer those services up for free. If you're good at math, consider offering up some free tutoring services. If your teenager is great at math, consider offering up some free tutoring services. And if you're one of those people who, Jessica's gonna laugh, but if you're one of those people who back in the day used to play like Dungeons and Dragons, which is one of those tabletop fantasy interactive role-playing games, you can consider starting one of those up for other kids as well. You can do it as a family. That's something that you all can do as a family, but you can also do with other people online. If you've got a great exercise routine, put it online. Let us see it. Can you craft? Let me see it. Because someone on your friends page right now is looking for something to do with their family, and they don't know what to do, and they need lessons. They need to learn how to do these things. I think it's great if you have skills to be able to show other people a step-by-step process, especially if you're getting the kids involved, so other families can see, I can do this with my kid. I think it's huge. But I do want to give some really, really, really quick ones, and then I'll shut up, I promise. If whenever you're using internet, whether you're using internet to do a D&D game, or you're going to be doing it to record your kids doing a art project, always use internet safety, always monitor to make sure that you're doing the correct thing, that the correct people are seeing your kids. If you're able to shop local, consider buying gift cards to the places that are not open, like your favorite salons and barbershops, because you're paying it forward back to them, and that makes you feel good. And if you feel good, then you're going to be more calm and you're going to feel better. If you can pick up some food at a restaurant locally, go ahead and do so. If you're going to donate to places like Etowah Baptist or Catholic Center of Concern, please call them first to find out exactly what they need. That way you're not just bringing them just random things they can never use. Let your church know that you can sponsor a family. Maybe they know somebody who needs some help. You can let us know if you can sponsor a family. We can get in touch with VOAD and say, hey, you got a family who needs some money or needs some groceries. I have a family who's willing to sponsor that family. Always social distance, even if your state opens up, but be nice to each other. Be nice to each other because your kids are seeing it. And if you're at home and you're together all the time, chances are you're going to argue, but be careful that you're not doing it in front of your children. This is affecting everybody in very different ways. Please recognize that it's affecting everybody in different ways. You can be handling it well, but your husband may be going crazy. You can be handling it well, but your best friend is going crazy. Please be considerate of other people. Use your best judgment. Wash your hands. Stay connected to your loved ones, even if you can't be with them. Make masks if you can if you can do that. I can't do that. But if you can, put up a tutorial. I want to know how to do it. I've got a husband in ICU, not in ICU, who works in ICU. He's not in ICU. He works in ICU. But if someone knows how to make a mask, put up a tutorial. I want to see how to do it. And always remember to take care of yourself and your family, and don't overspend your funds. Don't feel guilty if you can't shop local. Don't bring guilt upon yourself if you don't have the funds to do that. There are still other ways to give back, and doing it as a family and giving other people tips and tricks about how you're getting through this could literally save someone throughout this time. It can give a peace of mind that they're not the only one who's going crazy and that their kids are bored. Find something that y'all can do together. Record it. Let us see it. Let us have hope that we can do it too. I've got a girl on my friends list, and her name is Rachel, and she's always posting things that her and her kids are doing, and these amazing, arts and crafts projects, and the things that she's teaching life skills on. And every time I see it, I'm like, what? Everybody should be doing that. she's inspiring other people to do it. So inspire somebody else to get involved, and spread the word about the people who are shopping local, who are offering curbside service. If you can't afford to buy, at least spread the word. Stay together as a family. People who work together as a family will prosper in the long run.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share a couple more things. I put some of these in the chat box, but I just want to mention them in the video in case people don't see that. There are Facebook groups where you can connect to do the teddy bear hunt or the rainbow hunt, or they're also doing heart hunts. So you can
hang on, I'm sorry, this is in my window.
Yes, yeah.
It's in my front window.
You could make hearts together while you're visiting with your grandchildren or your children. Each of you could color the hearts and then talk about where you were going to put them. Another thing could be rocks. Do y'all remember the Gadsden rocks that we were painting for a little while, and they would show up around town and you could find so you could be painting some of those. That could fill your time. And then as you go on walks, different places, you could leave the rocks.
Which is fun for other people to find.
Yes. And so particularly if they said things like, hope, this will end, we will get through this together, stay home. I've even changed my greeting to where I'm telling people, stay home, stay safe, stay well, to remind people that we're in this together. Some of the communities are sponsoring scavenge hunts for when you go out on a walk. Hoax Bluff has one that they have sponsored, and they've used landmarks around town. So you're looking for a bass mailbox, those little mailbox covers that look like animals, other different things that are places that most people would know or be able to figure out relatively easily. You could create one for yourself and your own family for when you go out. I've also been seeing people do scavenger hunts with colors or with letters. So we're looking for things that start with a particular letter like B. So we're looking for books, bears, and you could take pictures of that while you're out doing that, and then you could share those pictures during your visitation or your getting together time with one another. You want to make sure that you're doing that safely. You want to make sure that if you are the custodial parent or the one on the responsible side of that has the child, that they're not sharing information they shouldn't be in those pictures. So you want to talk through and think about that and look over them. One of the big things that's getting to be a thing now is doing a bin outing. So when you take out your trash, people are dressing up fancy, like in their best, fanciest clothes, to take their trash can to the road, and they're taking pictures like it's a night out at a gala. So you could consider doing that. There are Facebook groups for that, and you can post them. If you're having a date night while staying at home, there are some really great opportunities. And Emma mentioned watching a movie, but the Kennedy Center and Billboard are both streaming events and concerts. So you could go to a concert together, have dinner in your den, and watch the concert. And so is the Met. And the Met actually has the Met 360 project. I'll put that link in there, but it's just www.metmuseum.org in there for that one. And then a guy named Mo Williams is doing lunch doodles. He's teaching drawing every day at lunchtime. So you could look him up.
We've posted that on our Facebook page. So you can go to the link. Yeah, it's on there.
There. And
he's amazing.
Our Gadsden Public Library and our Gadsden Museum of Art are trying to do some really cool things as well. So check out their local websites, gadsdenlibrary.org and gadsdenmuseum.com, I think, are the two that you can check out for that. Misty, do you have any more tips you want to share?
I added some stuff into the chat of just some places that people can go. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of museums, aquariums, and zoos, but there's also our national parks. There, I put links to Yellowstone and also a couple of others on there, and in the national park website, and you can go through and do tours of those. I also included Mars and the Great Wall of China. You can actually visit those. Might not be places you would ever be able to go in your life. Don't know if we'll go to Mars or not, but you can go virtually now. There's also the museum in London, and I did post the Met on there, but I put the kids version, but you can also go for the adult version for dates. But there's lots of great things that you can do together. One other thing I didn't say was you could actually play games, like games we played when we were kids, like Red Light, Green Light, Red Rover. You have to get a little creative, but you can do those from each of your houses. And that's fun with younger kids. They enjoy. Plus, it gives them some physical activity if you have them go outside while they're on video and run around and do some stuff if the weather's good.
So let's remember that many of us, like right now, may be sitting in front of our computer, and that's what we think about when we think about visiting remotely, but a device works. So you could get out and do things. You could walk around. You could take a walk with somebody. Like y'all could both go out and walk wherever you are, so you're getting some exercise and talking. That's particularly interesting to me, so that I don't get too nosy and watch too much of what's happening in everybody else's yard. To be able to talk or listen to somebody would be a great thing to do while we're walking. And if you're like me, I used to be I hated the idea of video chat. If we had to do something like this, I wanted it to be a phone call. But I think we've all had to stretch out beyond our comfort zones and stretch our boundaries. And what we've discovered is it's just like being with somebody in person. Sometimes there's a little bit of an audio or video delay, but you don't have to dress up, and nobody really cares how you look. The people who want to visit with you and see you want to see you. So stop worrying about how you look like on the camera and be more worried about visiting with the people that you see. I want to open
good because I have no makeup on, so that's really helpful.
I have lipstick. That was the effort I could put in today. On there, I'm going to unmute everybody in case we have some questions. Do y'all have some questions or some ideas you'd like to share? And they all muted themselves, because when I unmuted them,
they muted them right back. I saw them do it too. They were quick. I would like to say that we are posting a lot of these ideas every single day on our Facebook page. We have some things that are going up about the museums and the people who are reading books online, and also Children's Policy Council's Facebook page also is posting ideas that you can do with your kids. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you're overwhelmed because you don't know what to do and you feel stressed out, then always finding a way to help somebody else can help relieve that stress. Maybe that's just me. But if I get so caught up in my own every single day thing, and I can feel myself getting overwhelmed, if I stop and say, okay, well, what can I do to help somebody else, and find a creative outlet? Well, there goes my husband. He just walked right on by. Well, you might as well stop and say hi now.
And this is our life. Social distancing.
Yeah, we are social distancing. But it is a great way to get yourself out of your head, and brainstorming as a family about what y'all can do to help somebody else may relieve a lot of pressure and stress on yourself to constantly produce.
And your idea about helping and giving back has been backed up by research. We find that it helps us to do something for somebody else, if for no other reason, because it distracts us from the worry of what we're doing.
Absolutely. Just finding something small to give back is huge.
I want to remind everybody that Family Success is still operating, even though we're having to comply with the social distancing. So if we have a family counselor, Africa Bell, if you need to talk to somebody, Africa's here, then you want to contact the Family Success Center, you can email us, or you can leave a message on the machines. We'll be sure that those messages get to the people they need to go to. It may take just a little bit, but we have ways that we can still connect with you. Same thing for financial stability. If Emma is our financial stability coach, if you are really, really concerned and freaking out about what's going on financially, let her talk you down from the ledge in there, because we're all kind of in the same situation. Africa, do you want to give us a tip or two for self-care today?
Well, I do want to piggyback to what Emma has said, just helping other people help you as well. But the self-care is just remember you're human, and yes, you're in the middle of a crisis, but it's okay to recognize that. It's you're not this superhuman being as we always like to believe that we are, but to acknowledge our yeah, you too, Emma. But we like to just acknowledge that, hey, okay, let me just go and take me a hot bath. Let me go ahead and get the bubbles, get the candles, some nice music playing in the background, just different things you can do. Even when you have children, like I do, I would tell them, okay, let's do some pampering time. Let's do our nails. Let's do our toes. Let's just go outside and just blow bubbles. I did that with my little girl last week. Just doing something that's, we're outside of our norm anyway. We might as well just get back to the simplicity of things, you know um, and just make the best of it. I'm in the kitchen more now, making doing different recipes. Excuse me, my aunt had given me my one of my aunts in the rest of soul her great pound cake that I'm going to challenge myself to do this week. And just because I want to have fun with it. It's nostalgia, it's something to look back on and just remember her. And so just simple stuff that we can do just to help take our mind off of what's going on. But at the same time, do acknowledge, your stress. Do acknowledge your emotions or any other emotions you have, especially grief. I was just thinking about of, you know, there's a hypothetical question to ask, the viewing audience. Would you ignore a big open gaping wound on your body? And the answer hopefully would be no. So why would you ignore your emotions and your feelings? Because if you don't watch that, you would then the wound um of the loss and grief will start manifesting physiologically on your body. That's when you're stressed, unable to sleep or sleeping too much, eating too much, not eating enough, uh, becoming irritable. Those are the things that you have to be mindful of. So do acknowledge the feelings. And if you definitely need someone to talk to, I am available at the Family Success Center. I'm sure Tammy's going to put the information in the comment tab, but just let you know that we are here to help you in a way, shape, or form. We're all going through it. Why not go through it together?
And we understand that the longer this lasts, the longer we're going through this, the more those effects are going to come upon us. I mean, if we had to do this for 3 days, you can do okay, but we're going into 3, 4, 5 weeks, and it looks like we may have around 4 more weeks left of this. We also have to find ways to process our fear and our anxiety, because some of the decisions are going to be or not going to be those that we have. Please know that it is not the role of the Family Success Center. We don't shame people. We are here to encourage and support you. Some people are afraid that they're going to catch this virus, and that's not an unreasonable fear. People are catching the virus. So others are afraid that they're going to be financially bankrupt before this is able to be over. And so they're saying, I need to be able to get back to work. Others are saying it's not safe to go out yet. We are going to default to the experts who know what they're doing and are advising us well on that. But we're happy to walk with you through that, because everyone is entitled to feel how they feel. There. Emma, I know this one wasn't focused on finances, but in every one of these videos, I think it is a source of anxiety. It is a source of concern for us. Can you give us just a couple of financial tips?
I'm going to give the same ones over and over again because they're really important to remember. If you are being affected by this and you were unable to work for some reason, whether you've been furloughed or laid off and you need assistance getting your bills paid, there's not going to be a lot of money out there right now because a lot of people need assistance. So what you need to do is you need to go ahead and reach out to your mortgage companies, your credit card companies, your utility companies, and tell them up front that you've been affected by COVID-19. But remember that at the end of all of that, because like some places are offering no late fees. Some people are offering, you get 60 days to pay it. If you pay it late, no big deal. Can't disconnect. We can't evict you. All kinds of great tools. But please remember that at the end of all this, when everything starts getting back to normal, you're still going to owe that money. So you need to tell them up front that I'm having problems, I've been furloughed due to COVID-19, and ask them what the plan is going to be when everything starts to kick back in, because you don't want to end up being in a position where you have the money to pay your bills right now and you opt not to pay those bills right now. And then you get your stimulus check and you don't use that towards something like bills. You end up buying something that maybe you don't need with it right now, or you end up buying something that is going to long-term affect you. When the time comes that those money comes due, it's still going to come due. So please make sure that you're using that money wisely. If you can afford to pay your bills, pay your bills. If you need to pay them in advance and you can afford to do so, do so. If you want to know how to learn how to pay them in advance, call me. I can teach you. I will show you how to do it. I can show you how to build a little safety net into your budget. If you have no budget to work with, then please let everybody know. Do not just assume that they're going to understand that you've been affected. They're not going to know if you don't tell them. You have to tell them. You have to be upfront. You have to be proactive. Otherwise, you're going to pay for it in the long run. And banks, they're great. They're not always as forgiving if you don't tell them ahead of time. You have to be honest. So be honest. Plan for this. Plan for when everything comes back due, because you don't want to be 3 months behind on your mortgage, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, well, it's all due today. So plan for it. Those stimulus checks can be put back for those purposes if need be. Let everybody know. Be proactive. Save as much money as you can, and do not spend unnecessarily. Please, love, do not spend unnecessarily. If you can afford to shop local and go out to eat, by all means do so. But if you can't, and if you're struggling, save every penny you got and be smart. Be smart. Don't just think I have extra money to go blow.
Yeah.
Save it for what you need, because at the end of the day, this money will come due very, very soon. And you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you don't plan for it.
Africa mentioned blowing bubbles, and I was sitting over here thinking that some of us may not have bubble stuff in our home, and we're supposed to not shop any more than we have to, trying to stay home. So you can make your own homemade bubble mix. It's a 3-to-1 mixture of dishwashing liquid to water. So that would be a half a cup of dishwashing liquid from your kitchen and a cup and a half of water, and you can make a wand out of cutting the bottom off of a plastic drinking bottle or a plastic straw, or cut a hole in the bottom of a plastic cup. So lots of other things that you can do, and try to find ways to use what you have and what you do. A lot of people are planting gardens. Gardening can be an interesting thing to do right now. I saw someone the other day who was sharing they had even taken newspaper to make the little cups to start the seedlings in, so that you just plant the whole thing, because it biodegrades. It breaks down in the soil in there. So,
which is a great family activity.
It is. Everybody can garden together in there. So, Misty, share the resource that you just put in the chat box.
So from the attorney side, I know a lot of people have some legal issues that are going on. There's concerns like Emma was talking about. As you receive stimulus, some people are having problems receiving stimulus payments. Some people are having issues with unemployment. They need help with the expanded unemployment comp that happened with the disaster. Legal Services Alabama has started a COVID-19 disaster line dedicated to issues with dealing with the pandemic. So any public benefit issues, if you're applying for SNAP, TANF, unemployment and having issues, you can call 877-393-2333. And I posted that in the chat. You can also go to legalservicesalabama.org, but they will help with those. Know that if you've got stimulus payments and you have judgments out there with garnishments, they can garnish your bank account or your wages during this time, and they can garnish stimulus payments. There is going to be some legal fights over those issues, but at this time they can. So if you're having issues with that, you can call that hotline and get help for those issues.
Any final words from anybody before we go?
I really want everybody to do like the up and down, look side to side thing and do a full views like the Brady Bunch. I don't know why I really want to do that. And if you screen capture the whole thing, it looks like we're all looking at each other. I don't know why. That's just, I don't have any more words. I'm sorry. That was it.
This is what happens to us when we are quarantining at home.
It'd be so cute.
I will say one other thing. From the legal standpoint, the courts, at least in Etowah County, are closed to a small extent through the end of May. But the judges are still working and they are still doing hearings. However, we're having limited court hearings by video in only certain types of cases. So for people in most domestic relation situations, collection cases, small claims issues, they're not going to be having any court hearings. So I would say for those of you in relationships with children that have issues that are coming up, you may not have a court hearing that you could get to court in the next 2 months. But the judges are still looking at motions, so, and they are doing some video hearings. So if somebody does have an issue that's an emergency, I would say contact your attorney, and they can file something with the court. So if there are some issues with you've been refused or denied visitation, or there's a possibility of child abuse issues going on at this time, DHR's there and they're still out investigating and they're still looking into things. We're not all just shut down. We're still here to operate and provide services. So make sure that you're utilizing those as you need them. So.
Good thoughts. All right, last opportunity for questions. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us for this. We'll be back with another conversation next week. Stay safe, stay well, stay home. We are going to get through this. Bye, everybody.